Hey everybody, we all know what day it is. I thought that on this Halloween, we could read the creepiest tech story that I've ever discovered. So I found it on Reddit. I'm gonna read it from the first person. This is told from the perspective of an unnamed poster. And it might not be horrifying, but I think it's enough to creep us all out.
Hey guys, I've been reading other people's strange and creepy stories all over Reddit, and I've always wanted to share mine, but never really felt comfortable to do so till now. I think I kinda have to just put it out there just to get over it, you know? So, I moved into my current apartment about 4 years ago. I bought it furnished, so I didn't bring all that many personal items with me. One of the items I did bring though was my laptop. It was nothing too special. Kind of fairly old. It had a rapidly aging Core i5, had a dedicated NVIDIA chip, blah blah blah. It's not exactly a beast. Ran my MMOs like Warcraft and RuneScape, and my shooters at playable enough frame rates, and I was pretty okay with that. Unfortunately, due to my phenomenally trashed luck, the bag containing my laptop and the laptop itself got a little banged up during the move to my new place. And by a little banged up, I mean that it was completely trashed. Didn't boot, didn't charge, didn't pass go, absolutely wrecked. After sending it in for repairs, it turned out that bringing it back to life would require a small loan of $1 million, so I figured, screw it, I'll just buy a new one. But classes were going on, I never really got around to it, and I just kind of lived a laptop-less existence. So, after many boredom-filled and laptop-deprived weeks later, I bumped into one of my neighbors while taking out the trash. Let's call him Dylan. I'd never really talked to Dylan before, since I'm not really the type to make friends with my neighbors, or more accurately, I actively tried to avoid them. But he had a very calm demeanor to him, and what I can only describe as a friendly face. So friendly that we actually got to chatting. At some point in the conversation, I mentioned that I was on the lookout for a new laptop. And wouldn't you know it, Dylan actually had one lying around that he was looking to sell. And it was an absolute steal. So after enthusiastically confirming that I was indeed super interested in his offer, Dylan brought the laptop by for me to inspect. Because he was still using the system occasionally, and because my offer to buy it was unexpected for him, he hadn't formatted it yet. And as much as I wanted to snoop through all of his personal files, that kind of stuff is, A-grade entertainment for someone like me, and it was right there on the desktop, I decided not to. Mostly because he was sitting right next to me while I checked it out, even though I probably could have gotten away with it. Specs-wise though, the system was exactly as he advertised during our conversation, which meant it was a friggin' monster. It was gonna play everything I needed and do all of my coursework. It would, compared to my other laptop, it was a godsend. It was equipped with a brand new i7, had the top of the line NVIDIA graphics card, and actually retailed for $3,000 at the time. A retail price that there was no freaking way I was ever gonna pay. But Dylan was selling this thing for just under $400, which, thinking back now, the fact that his price was so low should have been a red flag. Or something that I should have asked about even after I checked it out, because it seemed perfect to me. But at the time, I was just so excited about getting the deal that I didn't really think too much about it. So he took the laptop back to his place to clear it, get the bag and the charger for it and all of that, and then brought it over the next day. It looked completely formatted, so I didn't think of doing anything to it. So around bedtime, I downloaded and installed a few choice programs and games and left it overnight to install and download literally every Windows update ever put out, or at least what felt like it. So before school the next morning, I checked on the update progress when I noticed a file on the desktop. It was just a blank notepad document titled August 30th, the date from the day before. It was a little weird since I hadn't really done much with the laptop since getting it, and I definitely don't remember setting anything up that would result in such a file, but whatever, right? Like, I just installed everything, so I just deleted the file and went to school. After getting home, I heard the call of World of Warcraft and started up the system, only to find that the file that I 100% deleted was back. I figured it must be some sort of bug or virus, or just Windows being Windows, so again, I didn't give it too much thought. I deleted it again, and all is well. The next day, a Saturday, I decided to play some more Warcraft. A few hours later, after closing the game, I noticed that the file had returned again. The name, however, was now August 31st. I opened it and found it to be blank again. Instead of sending it straight to the trash this time, I tried to type something into it, which is when I noticed that there was actually already text there. White text, making it look blank. I highlighted it and found that it was a link to a photo sharing website. I pasted the link in my browser, and when the site loaded, I was presented with a photo. A photo of me taken as I was making dinner in the kitchen. It was obviously taken with the webcam on my laptop. It was the right perspective, everything matched. I was a little freaked out, obviously, so I told one of my friends about this strangeness and was told to test it again by leaving it open somewhere in the house to see if it might happen again, which, retrospectively, my friend's an idiot. However, at the time, that's exactly what I did because I was also an idiot. And then there was a new doc with links. The photos in these links weren't just of me this time though, it was just my empty living room or the pictures of the surroundings of wherever I left the laptop. Again, very weird, but I got bored of it and rationalized that either it was a webcam app going buggy, might have been a hacker somewhere, or just someone messing with me with the camera. So I just decided to put a sticker over it since I couldn't figure out how to uninstall anything that might be there. It's not the most technical fix, putting a sticker over your webcam, but it seemed like a quick and easy solution at the time. I eventually spoke to Dylan, the guy who sold me the laptop, about the whole thing, and apparently this had never happened to him. At least he said. Anyways, so I had the sticker covering the webcam and I always closed the laptop at the end of the night. Everything was fine for a while, all the way up until mid-October, 6 straight weeks of nothing unusual occurring. But I opened the laptop and noticed that there was a folder renamed with the date from the day before, yet again. It wasn't a document this time, it was a folder. Honestly, just telling you guys the truth, I was more annoyed than creeped out. So I opened the folder. The links were there again as individual text documents. They led to the same photo sharing website, and this time there were photos of me sleeping. I know that the laptop was closed when I left for bed and that it was in the living room, not anywhere near the bed, but these were clearly the same photos that the webcam always took. Same quality, same aspect ratio, same focal distance, all of that. I tried to convince myself that maybe I was just super tired. Maybe I carried it to the bedroom. Maybe I didn't close the lid. Whatever, every possible scenario was running through my head. Obviously, I couldn't figure it out, and at this point I was severely creeped out. And I immediately suspected Dylan of being the culprit. I mean, after all, it was his machine, and he could have done anything to it before handing it over to me. I sent him a text, and when he didn't reply, I grabbed the laptop and stormed over to his place. And I can't quite remember his exact words, since this all happened so long ago, but he seemed just as shocked as I was. I told him about the webcam and asked whether he had any troubles with it. He mentioned seeing the recorder indicator being on a few times. When he restarted his PC, everything turned off, so he thought it was a technical error and not someone actually using the camera. As far as having any photos or links saved on the PC itself, he was dumbfounded and seemed to not really believe me. After showing him the photos, his reaction made me fully believe that he wasn't the one behind it. He was almost more shocked than I was. Obviously thinking that of all the times that the recorder light was on for him, and he just dismissed it. We were having coffee and talking about the possibility when he assured me that he knew a guy that could secure the system and make sure there wasn't anything fishy going on with it. That was it. I was somewhat reassured, so I passed the laptop back to him. He took it and said he would return it a few days later. With the laptop gone, everything was back to normal, and I eased up. Went back to school, everything was fine. A few days later, when I was at class, I received a phone call from my landlord, and he said that there was a delivery man with a box that was addressed to me. So I gave him permission to sign it on my behalf since it was obviously the laptop. Although I found it strange that Dylan would have it delivered when he could have just picked it up from his friend himself. Again, I rationalized it. He was probably just busy. When I got home, the box was sitting on my doormat. I carried it inside, and after dinner, I started the laptop up again. I have to admit, I was a little bit nervous, and as a test, decided to leave the laptop open on my coffee table, the stickerless webcam facing the TV. I went to bed, locked my bedroom door, as I started to do during this whole thing, and hoped that there wouldn't be any unexpected surprises on the laptop the next morning. And, as you could probably guess, there wasn't anything there. Everything was fine. This continued for the next few nights. And one night, it was different. I had classes really late that night. I had to stay overtime for an assignment with a group. So when I came home, I just wanted to take a relaxing shower while listening to music. And after about 30 minutes of just soaking in the hot water, I got out, got dressed, went to the kitchen in search of a snack when, on the counter, I found what seemed to be a blank Polaroid film. You know, those small Instax ones that every store sells? I remember being confused at first, but as I picked it up and started turning it around, I was surprised to see that it was actually starting to develop, meaning that it was placed there no more than a minute or two ago. My heart fell in my stomach as I became able to make out what it was. A very zoomed in shot of me drying my hair with a towel after my shower. I wanted to run. I wanted to run out of the house to get my phone. And I just wasn't sure which I should do. My phone was still on my bed where I changed into my pajamas, so it wasn't exactly in reach. And my keys to the front door were still in my jeans pocket in the bathroom. So either way, I had to sprint back through the apartment. I remember contemplating just screaming. Surely someone would come and help me. I had no idea whether whoever took the photo was still in my apartment. Were they hiding? Did they climb out of the window or down the fire escape? I remember being so scared. Too scared to move, but also too scared to stand in the middle of my kitchen where someone clearly had been not even just 5 minutes ago. So I took a deep breath and slowly walked to the bedroom, the Polaroid still firmly clenched in my hand. I was turning on lights as I walked, trying to calm myself down. It wasn't really working, to be honest. And I reached the bedroom, I switched on the light, taking in the room, checking the corners. Nothing seemed out of place. No one was there. I walked over to my bed and picked up my phone. I exited with my back against the wall and went to the bathroom. I picked up my jeans and slowly took the keys out of the back pocket, very aware of the deafening quiet and just how noisy I was being. I'm not sure why I didn't call the police. I remember thinking that even though I was more terrified than I'd ever been in my life, the situation might not have been serious enough to call the police. It was just a photo after all. I thought they'd probably think I was being stupid and get angry at me for calling them regarding something that they would deem as trivial. Dumb thought, but at the time that was just what was going through my head. So I did the next best thing, which to me meant getting into contact with the only person who was aware of the situation and might be able to help, Dylan. I made my way to the front door of my apartment, and ready to unlock it when he arrived. I phoned him multiple times and the calls kept ringing and then going to voicemail. I didn't want to phone the landlord because he was a nice guy, but he was old. He probably wouldn't understand what even a photo sharing website was or what a URL is or anything that was currently occurring. He just would have thought that the laptop was taking pictures because that's what cameras do. I took a deep breath and unlocked the door, leaving the laptop and everything but my phone behind. Dylan's apartment was on the same floor as mine, so it was roughly a 3-minute walk to the other side. I knocked on his door and tried calling again. I heard the phone ringing inside, so he had to be there. I knocked on the door this time, again, yelling that he had to open up because it was me. After about a minute, he opened the door looking disheveled, like he was out of breath. But I was confused because he seemed like he had just woken up from a deep sleep, but he was heaving and his hair was disheveled and it looked like he might have been sweating. I remember quickly apologizing because I thought I had woken him up, and I immediately told him what was happening. I showed him the Polaroid. He seemed to be annoyed with me, telling me it's probably nothing and brushing it off. I insisted that the photo was clearly taken that night and that obviously someone had to be physically in my apartment to take it. That same person who probably moved my laptop to my bedroom that one night and that had been messing with me since day one. I don't remember exactly how it happened next, but since I'm pretty sure he didn't invite me in. But somehow I found myself in his apartment with him closing the door behind us. And I asked him whether he thinks I should phone the police, and he insisted that it would be pointless, as there was nothing that could prove someone was actually inside my apartment and that I didn't take the photos myself. But as we passed his kitchen, as we passed through the hallway in his apartment, I saw it. I saw the Instax camera on his coffee table as we were walking through. After that, it all happened so fast. I immediately dismissed myself and sprinted back out the door into my apartment, looking back at every chance I could to see whether or not he was actually following me. Once inside, I phoned 911 and called my landlord, giving them the gist of what happened, hoping that they would come and do something about it. And they did. They came and they took Dylan away from questioning. I had all of the proof. He was obviously denying anything to do with what I'd been experiencing. And I found out from the police that he was actually on probation and he was violating it and he was getting charged and sent to prison. I didn't really know much about Dylan besides the fact that he had a really good deal on a laptop. But I found out that he had prior allegations against him. He had spent time in jail for aggravated stalking, and I was just his latest victim. I felt such a sense of calm knowing that the person responsible for all the stress I had endured in those last few months was finally under lock and key, unable to terrorize me any further. I started sleeping soundly again. But then that holiday season, I spent Christmas at my parents' house that year. On the morning of the 26th, I awoke to notifications sounding off on my phone, vibrating, going crazy. There were a bunch of texts from an unknown number. One of these texts included photos of our Christmas tree. I assumed it was a family member, as there were quite a few staying over. I mean, we had a large family with a lot of aunts and uncles. However, when I got up and out of bed, I was greeted by a sight that basically changed my life. Polaroids of every single person in the house, fast asleep, strewn across my bedroom floor. Even the family dog was in the pictures. In a trance-like state, I slowly picked them up one by one. They were all the same. Everybody looked eerily peaceful, as if they had no idea somebody was taking their picture. My mom and dad in one photo, taken from the foot of their bed. A close-up of my aunt's face. A photo of my little brother included his whole room, as if someone was standing in the doorway. The photo of Noble, our family dog, was taken through a gap in the blinds from outside the house. There are also close-up shots of our fireplace, the star on top of the tree, the pies on the kitchen island, the wreath on the front door, everything. I slowly picked up a photo that was very clearly my bedroom door. The photos got darker as whoever it was had entered my room. The photo that finally drove me into panic mode, though, was a photo of me, sleeping soundly, taken as if the photographer was right beside my bed. The last one, neatly placed on the dresser table in the corner of my room, was the last one I noticed. There was a close-up of my face. There was a black leather-clad hand pulling the duvet covers up over my mouth. I was absolutely horrified. I stood there for what felt like hours, holding all the photos in my hand, trying to make sense of it while simultaneously trying not to have a full-on mental breakdown. I eventually just phoned my dad right on the spot, crying, asking him to please come into my room. He was just in the next door, but I was too scared to leave mine. Long story short, he came over, police were called. They confirmed that Dylan was still in prison and that he had no way of making this happen. After that, I was just too emotionally shaken up to go back to school. I took a gap year. I traveled, but before I went anywhere, I decided to drop the laptop in a landfill. I got rid of my smartphone. I got rid of anything that could potentially have a camera on it that could take any sort of picture of me. It's been about 6 years. I only recently got a new cell phone and a computer, but this time no laptop, no webcam, nothing, not even a phone that has a freaking camera on it, because we never found out who was actually behind it. But as for now, it appears to have stopped. So far, so good.